It's kind of wild when you think about it. We have engineered everything around us. I mean, our cities, our homes, the phones in our pockets. It's incredible. But what about our inner world? It feels like we've totally mastered all the external stuff. But when it comes to what's happening inside our own heads, well, it's often just chaos, right? Left completely to chance. And that paradox right there is what we're going to dive into today.
So let's start with this really powerful observation from the mystic and yogi Sadhguru. What on earth does it mean to suffer your success? I mean, think about that. It's the tragedy of getting everything you ever wanted, that one thing you worked so hard for, only to find yourself, well, more miserable than before. This one idea is really the key to unlocking everything we're about to explore.
And this brings us straight to this very strange reality we live in, the success paradox. We're surrounded by comforts and conveniences that our ancestors couldn't even dream of. I mean, by every external measure, life should be better than it has ever been. But is it? Really?
Okay, let's make this really personal for a second. Sadhguru asks this simple, but honestly, pretty profound question. Just think about it for a minute. When you were 5 years old, how joyful were you? Just for no reason. And now, after all the education, the career, the goals you've hit, what's the actual trajectory of your happiness?
The shocking answer, if we're being really honest with ourselves, is that for most of us, that graph is trending down. And look, if the whole point of everything we do, building careers, families, our entire lives, is to be happy, but that happiness is actually decreasing, then that means we are, as Sadhguru puts it, a really bad manager of ourselves.
So what do we blame for this downward slide? The usual suspect, of course, is stress. We're always talking about stress management, like it's some unavoidable monster we have to fight. But what if our whole understanding of what stress even is just plain wrong? Let's challenge that basic idea.
On the left, you see what we all say. Oh, my job is so stressful, or life is just stressful. But on the right is a complete flip of the script. What if no job is actually stressful? What if stress doesn't come from the outside world at all? The really interesting thing here is the massive shift in responsibility this suggests.
Okay, so here's the big takeaway, the absolute crucial point. Stress is not an external event. It is an internal response. It's basically a sign that you're not able to manage your own system, your body, your mind, your emotions, your own internal chemistry. So it's not your boss, it's not the traffic, it's not the deadlines. It's the friction happening inside of you. And once you get that, wow, it is a total game changer.
So if stress is all about our inner system, the next logical question has to be, well, what exactly is that system? And more importantly, how do we become a good manager of it instead of just an accidental one? Let's break down the core parts.
So according to this framework, you are the manager of these 4 things. And just think about how simple this is. Your body's literally just an accumulation, a heap of all the food you've eaten. Your mind, it's a heap of all the impressions you've gathered from the world. And then you've got your emotions and your energies. Most of us just let this whole system run on autopilot, managed completely by accident.
And here's the result of that. When you manage your life by accident, when your mood, your thoughts, your sense of well-being are all dictated by what's happening outside of you, you basically exist as an accident. And to exist as an accident means your potential calamity waiting to happen, which, by the way, is why so many of us live in a state of constant low-level anxiety. It's become normal.
The good news is, there is a science to inner well-being. There's a technology for managing this inner system on purpose. But we often look for shortcuts, right? And this next little story illustrates the problem with that approach just brilliantly.
This was the advice a bull gave to a pheasant. The pheasant was complaining that he just didn't have the strength to fly to the top of a big tree anymore. The bull offered this kind of ridiculous-sounding solution, but then he backed it up with that very tempting line, "Hey, everyone's doing it."
So, hesitantly, the pheasant gives it a try. And, weirdly enough, it seemed to work. Day by day, it got just enough of a boost to fly a little bit higher, and then a little higher, until finally it reached the very top branch. And it sat there all fat and happy, enjoying the view, right before the farmer spotted it and, well, brought its journey to a very sudden end.
And there it is, right? That's the moral of the whole story. You can absolutely fool yourself with superficial solutions, with shortcuts. They might even give you a temporary high, a feeling of success, but they will never provide a stable foundation. They will never let you stay at the top.
Lasting well-being requires doing the right thing, not just the easy thing.
So all of this is building toward the ultimate goal of inner management. And it's not just about feeling a little less stressed or a little bit happier. No, it's about something much, much deeper, a profound sense of freedom.
This is just a fundamental truth of life, isn't it? No matter how smart you are, how powerful you become, how great a manager you are of the outside world, you will never have 100% control over what happens around you. Not in your job, not in your city, not even in your own family.
We call it slavery when somebody else controls what happens around us. But just think about this for a second. If an email from your boss can determine your inner peace, if a random comment from a stranger can ruin your entire day, if the traffic can decide your emotional state, then someone else is deciding what's happening within you. Isn't that the most horrible, the worst kind of slavery there is? The only true freedom, then, is becoming the master, the manager of your own inner world.